Hello everyone, I'm Roy Potter and this is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor, and we're just checking out some things here. I turned up the volume a little bit on the microphone. Hopefully it doesn't overmodulate. I don't think I'll have that problem with this one, but if it does, if you'll let me know, I'll appreciate it. The live chat is on. And it looks like we are having some problems with the transmission, which doesn't surprise me. It looks like the picture might have some problem. We're having some weather problems here. So it may be that the picture just won't do the job. So we'll just do the sound for right now. And hopefully maybe the connection will settle down. Alright, today is the 12th of April 2018, and if any of you have been watching, and this is the reason why I decided to do this video this morning, I wasn't the only one screaming foul with President Trump's threats to Syria and Russia. If any of you have been watching even the mainstream news, of course CNN and people like that, you know, they're probably all gung-ho for it, but people from Tucker Carlson to Alan Dershowitz, to Michael Savage, to, well, just everyone. Lionel from Lionel Nation, everyone was saying, what in the world are you doing? Now, there are people out there that were saying he was putting on theater again. Well, let me address that, okay? Don't you dare play theater with nuclear war. Don't you dare play theater with nuclear war. You might want to do it in your world, but don't do it in mine. So that's all I'll say about it. I won't get that. I won't get any more critical, I guess. That was another word I was going to use. Critical than that. But to tweet warfare, nuclear warfare over Twitter, and even the Russians took it seriously. That's just not right. I don't care what kind of theater you're doing. And there are a lot of people there that are acolytes for Trump, that no matter what he does, they're going to support him. Well, that's a very dangerous thing. I wouldn't do that. You know, he's my favorite president so far, but I'm not going to allow him to get away with stuff like that. That's the part that we have to take responsibility for our republic. We have to stand up as citizens, even to the guys girls that we like, and say, no, you're not doing that. That's wrong, and we're calling you out on it. And if you don't do it, then you get what you deserve. I think we narrowly diverted a war here for now, and that's why I named this live stream that. This was one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen anyone do, especially as I explained that Assad has been falsely accused, and Trump should understand that. If anything, he should have maybe he did, I don't know, make a call to Assad. But whatever, this thing was way too far. Now, for those of you who said, I noticed some comments, not on here, but in other places, oh, you know, Trump, good on him, you know, he scared the Ruskies, you know, they're all fleeing, they're all taking off, they're all leaving, right? There were those things being said. Let me tell you a little thing about military tactics, okay? When you have a stationary post for a long period of time, you already know it's targeted, okay? So you move. Now, in today's digital satellite world, moving isn't always going to solve the problem of you still being targeted, but it makes it more complicated for the enemy. So the fact of the matter is the Russians weren't leaving. Vladimir Putin's not going to back down this time, okay? He's not. And I can't say I blame him. The fact of the matter is that they weren't fleeing. They were repositioning. And so all of you people that were out there hooping and hollering and saying, wow, Trump is really doing a fantastic job here, the Russians are on the run, you're the kind of people that get stuck in an ambush because you don't know anything. All right? Lemon juice and honey again. Sorry about the spoon making noise. I'm going to stop being Mr. Nice Guy, okay? Because we're past the time that that's going to work. So I'm just going to say it like it is. If I don't like what you say, I'm going to tell you, okay? And that was one of them. All these people, with glee talking about how tough Trump was and how the Ruskies were in fear of their lives and running for their lives, when in fact they were doing the proper military tactic to counter what Trump was threatening. Theater to take the pressure off him from Russia, I don't care. I don't care. If that's what it takes for him to get out of this, that's pretty lame. The other thing you do is you go on the offensive against, like I said yesterday, the enemies in this country. And I will not let his feet away from that fire until he does his duty and takes these people down and collars them. That's how it's going to be. Okay? By the way, a lot of you there were asking me how I'm doing today. I guess you could tell I was pretty upset yesterday, and I was, obviously, because you're playing with games here. And this is just not good. Hold on a second. I got a message here I got to look at. Okay. Oh, great. Huh. That's interesting. Weird things happen. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Give me 2 seconds and I'll be back. Have a little conversation. The chat room turned on? It is. Have a little chat for a minute. I'll be right back. I had to run outside. It's raining pretty hard, so you might notice I got a little wet. So, anyway. Okay, back to it. Let's see what we got here. Sorry about all the interruptions. Okay. Just got another message. Jake Morphonios of Blackstone Intelligence. Excellent source, as are Shepard Ambulance, Lionel, Sergeant Report, a lot of these guys. They were just great. Anyway, one of my contacts ran into him. So they're watching him now. Okay. So how's the sound, everybody? I turned it up a little bit. Let me make sure that it's okay. A lot of people, and I think this is right. Some people are saying Trump does watch his Twitter, he watches certain YouTubes, he watches certainly some people in the alternative media, and we raise so much hell over this. Thank you, JN14. Thank you, Mama Fawn. I appreciate that. All the other folks that are letting me know the sound's okay. That's what it takes. You have to be loud. Now, Trump's an impulsive egotist. Okay, if you've ever read his materials, he's an impulsive egotist. Now, he thinks things through to some extent, but sometimes he flies by the seat of his pants, and when you're talking about war, that's not a good thing to do. As a matter of fact, that's the last thing you want to do. For whatever reason, for whatever theater or anything else, you just don't do that. So I'll leave it alone now, unless it comes back, unless they start attacking. Israel already attacked Syria, as you all know. And the British are there, and France is there, and our warships are still looming around. And like I said yesterday, God knows what other units, forces, etc. are there. But we called out Trump's hand on this because this was a misstep. Absolutely, 100%, no doubt about it. So we got loud, and that's how we're supposed to work. That's how our republic is supposed to work. And we have these digital platforms that we need to use, calling the White House, emailing the White House, whatever it takes. Now, the other side is very much a problem. And they do these things all the time. So, sometimes you just got to appeal to the, hopefully, moral fiber of a person when you're doing this. You have to point out their character fallacies, their character shortcomings, and just shove it right in their face and say, look at this. And that's why I talked about the hypocrisy of allowing false accusations to occur against somebody else for whatever reason. It's just unacceptable. So apparently we were able to do something. McCain in Syria, I don't know that he's actually in Syria, but he certainly has a lot of influence there. There's some people that say he did go there a little while ago. And then, of course, we have this supposed chemical attack. We're still not sure on that. Apparently these things may have happened somewhere else, and they dragged the kids and everybody to another location. It's really hard to say. And the inspection team isn't due on the ground there for a while yet. So Trump is going to wait for that, but regardless, he has no business in Syria. Okay, he has no business there at all. He said he was going to pull out. It's a sovereign nation. Get the hell out of there, like he promised. Stop playing these silly-ass games with the rhinos and the neoconservatives and the Trotskyites, and get the hell out of there. Again, we have to clean up our own house. We have people here that are real animals, as I said yesterday. Clinton, Podesta, right on down the line. Clapper, Brennan. These people need to be collared now. And I understand that Jerome Corsi at the National Press Club, wish I could have been there. That would have been interesting to listen to all those people talk. At any rate, he made a point that, and he's basing his information on Q, which, again, I'm not going there. I just won't. But he said that indictments are going to be unsealed and the people are going to start being collared. Well, I hope he's right. Obviously, I hope he's right, because it's past time that should have happened as far as I'm concerned. These people are a danger, a clear and present danger to our republic and to our safety and security, and they need to be attacked, collared, tried, imprisoned, and executed if that's called for. And it's way past time. And people say, Clinton, that's never going to happen. That's the point. That's my second canary in the coal mine. As I've often talked about, the Bundys being freed, however that happened, it happened, so that's good. And that's a perfect example of how these animals attack Americans. Look what they did. They pulled an entire army of BLM, DOJ, and FBI down there to threaten the lives of 3,000 plus people because they were exercising their First and Second Amendment rights. That tells you what we're up against, and Trump cannot play games with these people anymore. Okay. Yes. Glenn Geary, it's a clear and present danger to our situation. Absolutely. Barbara Waters, Potter worship. You know what? That's okay. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for those who are willing to talk about alternative subjects. I'm grateful to those who are willing to open their minds and expand rather than be the tunnel vision that obviously Miss Waters is. So you can go somewhere else, Miss Waters. We don't need you here. Bye. I won't block you, but go somewhere else if you don't like this. Lionel Nation, when he gets on these live streams, I don't know if any of you have ever listened to him. He's worse than I am, but he'll grab all these. He'll be thinking about something. He'll bring up another subject, and then he'll pull that in and talk about that for a minute. Get back on the subject that he was talking about. Then he'll think about something over here, and he'll pull that in and he'll talk about that for a minute. And for a lot of people, that's aggravating. Not for me. I find that stimulating because I'll just tell you the truth, and it's not to lay to point fingers at anybody else, but that's a sign of extreme intelligence, to be able to handle those different subjects at the same time. That's why he fascinates me. And I can keep up with him. I guess a lot of other people can't, but I like it. Yeah, Trump, James LaPlay, I agree. Trump needs to grow a set quick. He's got them, but they've threatened his family, I'm sure. I mean, we've seen that. I mean, the evidence is there that they've done it. The helicopter situation, the powder, and who knows what else is happening behind the scenes. I understand all that. And like I said, I don't trust the entire DOD. Look what they did. They're partly responsible for this thing happening in Syria. When he said he was going to pull out, there were people in the DOD, the Pentagon, as well as the other parts of the deep state that pulled off this thing to try to force him to go in there. So I realized, and I said that, didn't I say that? I said as soon as he starts to do something like that, they're going to start problems, and they absolutely did. And no, despite everybody's accolades to Mattis and Dunford, etc., I still don't trust them. There's still generals left over. Mattis is off active duty now, I think. But the point is that they weren't purged by Obama, and all the generals that weren't purged by Obama are highly suspect in my mind. That's why I pushed Article 2, Section 2 so hard, and reactivating good retired officers that we know are good. And there's a balance there. What's good? Well, if they were purged by Obama, that's the first sign that there's probably something pretty good about them. So Trump needs to build that back up in his behalf. Now, he did that deal here last fall. It was an amendment to the calling up of the reserves, which is kind of a step in the direction that I'm talking about. And he may have done that, and he may be working with these people on the side, but don't think that the deep state and the intelligence community doesn't know what he's doing. Everybody's saying that, oh, he's hiding his real actions from all these people. Don't kid yourself. There's no way that Trump's fooling the IC and the deep state. There's no way. Okay, that's just not happening. And this thing with Syria proves it. Okay, so give the enemy a little credit. Don't underestimate them. They know what they're doing, just like you think Trump is a 4D chess player and he knows exactly what he's doing. Well, so does the deep state. They've been at this a lot longer than he has. Okay, so don't underestimate your enemy. It's one of the first violations of the principles of war that you can make. There's also the point of overestimating and then losing the initiative and other things. But don't think they're dumb. Don't think they're not they don't know what's going on. And that's why I finally had to reject this whole thing with Mueller being behind Trump and Comey actually working for Trump and Sessions actually working for Trump. Now, Sessions is still in my mind kind of on the balance here. But I'm not convinced. He has too many other connections that show that he's suspect in my mind. But at any rate, the point is these people are very smart. They have a lot of resources. Think of they probably have as much money. I'm talking about the New World Order, the deep state, the IC community, specifically the CIA. They probably have as many resources, monetary and otherwise, as the entire United States government. And on top of that, they have access to things that the government has. So don't underestimate them. I've known that they're a problem for a long time. Trump has to be careful with them, but he cannot allow them to destroy this republic. And we're right there. And that's why he doesn't need to get involved in things like Syria. These people are going to try to pull him back over there. The aphrodisiac for a president of being big on the international scene is almost irresistible. But he must resist that unless it's a clear and present danger. Syria was no clear and present danger. Russia's had it in good hands for a long time. I trust the Russians dealing with ISIS. Yeah, their connections to Iran, and they make Iran to be up this big boogeyman. I'll tell you what, they're not the biggest boogeyman compared to Saudi Arabia and Israel. And again, I'm telling you, those two are linked. Israel and Saudi Arabia are a team, two sides of the same coin. That's the real danger in the Middle East, not Iran. Other than it's the underbelly of Russia and our imperialist hegemonists, want to take out Russia, and they got to get Iran in order to do that. But that's just wrong. It's just wrong. You know, it's time that we change this paradigm and this idea of what enemies are. Yeah, we got to be prepared and defend ourselves and know what people are doing and know what other nations are doing. But this is all a sham. It really is, and we need to get off of it. Get rid of Sessions. Boy, amen to that. You know, even if Sessions was doing something behind the scenes, his attack on marijuana, which is totally absurd, and some of the other, I mean, he's doing somewhat good on going after the illegal aliens, kind of. But even with that, you know, I mean, as it sits right now, as far as I'm concerned, he should have an indictment for Jerry Brown and that governor, Governor Brown of Oregon. That's funny. There are two Governor Browns, Governor Brown of Oregon and Governor Brown of California. I wonder if they're related. I never thought about that until just now. But anyway, those people, the people down in California, the different municipalities, counties down there that are doing their sanctuary city thing, all that, he should just go, the mayor of San Francisco, Sessions should be indicting and arresting all those people. Hell, they were going to go after the Bundys for just taking care of their land. And Jeff Sessions, remember, said, oh, yeah, Steve Myra, the U.S. attorney in Nevada that was prosecuting the Bundys, oh, yeah, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Really? Really? And you're going to trust Sessions? Anybody trusts Sessions, you better have a mirror, you know, looking behind you all the time, checking your six, because that guy's a swamp creature. No matter how you look at it, even if he is doing some indictments behind it, he's a swamp creature. Brother and sister governors, Oregon and California, very well could be. I don't know. I don't think so, but at least last name, they might be cousins or something. Who knows? Jerry Brown, no, that wouldn't be a stage name. Okay, you notice I'm paying attention to the chat today because I wanted to come back and lighten things up a bit. That was pretty damn heavy yesterday, what I was doing. But again, it was necessary. As you saw, everybody else screaming bloody murder, red alert, sirens, all of that, because that went too far. And we're not out of the soup yet. We're not out of this yet. We're not. They could stage another thing. Who knows what could happen. But Trump needs to stay out of there. He needs, just like he was telling Obama back in 2013, stay the hell out of there. It's a black hole. It's a trap. And Israel, I'll just say it publicly, Israel wants it. Okay? And so does Saudi Arabia. We've seen that. Okay? Those people are criminal people in those governments. Just like we've got criminals in our government. Not everybody in Israel's bad. Hell no. But yeah, this thing is not good. And Trump needs to stop being a kiss-ass, to the Israelis. He just needs to stop it. And I don't think he is. I think he initially had some ideas of moving around and kind of cornering Netanyahu, being his friend, but still saying, watch this. But this last episode really, really was out of control. Okay. The paradigm is changing. Boy, I hope so. Yeah, the law is useless if not enforced. And of course, we have a double standard in this country. The rich and the elites don't get, they can commit treason and sedition and high crimes, and they just keep walking. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Yeah, Sessions, Mueller, Rosenstein, the Still report. I don't know. I've mentioned it before. Bill Still does an excellent job. That guy, he's. I don't know if he was a professional reporter at one time or not, journalist, but he's just deadpan delivery. He doesn't get emotional. You might see a little emotion in his eyes. He might speed up his speech just a little bit, but he's very, very articulate. His enunciation is perfect. His cadence is perfect, and he just tells you like it is. Yeah, and he puts out this stuff all the time. Yeah, he's talking about, going after Rosenstein and Mueller and all those guys. Yeah, he put out one last night, I think, Arrest Rosenstein. Excellent reporter. He's kind of the other end of Lionel. You have Lionel over on this side, and then Mr. Still on this side. but they're always giving good information. And Mr. Still doesn't bore you with, these hour-long streams. He keeps his reports to about anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. He's very intelligent. He knows that's the best way to deliver it. He's not verbose like I am or Lionel, so that's kind of good. Trey Gowdy, I don't trust him. You're right. Who's that saying that? I missed you. Chandra? No, Trey Gowdy's already proven that he's a drama major. That's all he is. He's a big talker, no action. And people say, well, he's a congressman. He can't do anything. No, that's not true. No, there's a lot of stuff he could do, but he just liked getting in front of the camera, and that was all he was about. And his hair constantly changed. You ever notice that? Now, I got a hair problem. Most of you, notice that from time to time. I had some injuries to my head some time ago. I got some chemical burns and was smacked by something, and so I have to keep my head covered with a hat or this thing, as most of you have figured out, because even regular fluorescent lights and stuff like that can cause problems, skin cancer and lesions and things. So I have to keep my head covered no matter where I am. But Trey Gowdy, he's got these flamboyant, he kind of reminds me of, I think his name is Tsoukas or something like that on the History Channel and I don't watch it normally, on Aliens on History Channel. The Greek guy, I think he's a director of some research institute. He's really smart. I really like him, but his hair is always way out. I mean, he's kind of like Einstein, but different types of Einsteins all the time, constantly changing his weird hair. So anyway, get off of that. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. What about General Kelly? Good question. Well, again, he's one of the generals that Obama didn't purge, right? I was suspect of Kelly more so even than Mattis or Dunford initially. Would he end up doing the right thing? Probably, but then there were then other problems developed, and he was trying to isolate the president. Now, in his mind, playing the devil's advocate here, he may have really felt like he needed to get a grip and control the White House staff, etc., and really close it down so it didn't keep pulling the president off on other areas. But you know what? That's assuming that's President Trump didn't need the information. In fact, he does need it. So Kelly was actually, and again, I don't know what his motivations were. It'd be hard for me to say, although I am suspicious of him. He should have just allowed the president to be the president. Maybe control some of the inner staff, that kind of thing, but to tell him, that he shouldn't be tweeting or that he shouldn't be, talking to certain people like whomever, Roger Stone or whatever he uses for his other advice and stuff. That's just going too far. I would like to think that it was done out of a real concern, but I'm not certain that that's the case. I think they really were trying to isolate the information on the president. It's like this present situation. Now, I don't think Kelly was in there doing it this time, but why doesn't Trump know that this false flag thing, before he started making those ridiculous tweets and others, he also said it in the cabinet meeting, which I had to go back and check. I was wondering, yesterday I was thinking, you know what? I'm not sure that I saw President Trump say this on camera. I wonder if because we were wondering about who's sending out these tweets, right? So then I finally found where he was talking about that in front of a cabinet meeting. So I thought, okay, well, that substantiates it. But why didn't he know about, or he should know about these false flags. He should know about these fake chemical attacks or chemical attacks that are staged by the White Hats, etc., by Saudi Arabia. He should know about it. So why all the bravado and all the threats? I don't know. I would like to think that he's not that he's not that cornerable, that he can get information that he needs. That's again why we need to be loud, and we were. We were so loud yesterday, and it was everywhere. Not on CNN, not on MSNBC, probably not even in the White House, but the rest of us were really calling it out. Jake Morphonios did a great job on Blackstone Intelligence. Great job. AMTV, Christopher Green. Alex Jones, my gosh. Alex Jones, he was leaving D.C. And good on him. You know, he's always there pushing Trump. Oh yeah, he can't do any wrong. But he called him out on this one, brother and sisters. He really did. He called him out so great. I hope some of you saw that. I was so proud of Alex when he did that, because that took a lot. I mean, it didn't in one way, but I'm glad to see that he was finally able to say, I'm not on the Trump train if Trump's going to do this. That took courage, because he could lose followers from that. In his mind, I'm not certain that would actually happen, but that was a brave thing to do, and he was right by doing it. So thank you, Alex Jones, for doing that. Please always consider that in the future, the importance of holding Trump's feet to the fire at all times. He works for us. Remember that. You don't worship your employee. Think of it that way, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worship your employee. Don't have this personality worship. It's principle, not personality. And if the personality abides by the principle, fine and dandy. But the moment they step away from it, you have to call them on it, especially these politicians. Absolutely necessary. Yeah, can you believe it? I saw yesterday on a tweet that Donald Trump said that Paul Ryan was a really good man. What? What? Like when he said the Clintons are good people and he didn't want to prosecute them? Why does he do that? Is he trying to be magnanimous? Paul Ryan is a snake. I can't say he's ever done anything criminal, but he's certainly a snake. And again, maybe that's just President Trump trying to be magnanimous. You know, I mean, what's the point, I guess, of starting a fight when a guy's going to leave? But by the same token, he didn't have to say that. He could just say, Paul Ryan's leaving and we wish him all the luck in the world. He didn't have to say he was a good man. See, stuff like that just really, really gets to me. I mean, I wouldn't have called Paul Ryan. If I were President Trump, I wouldn't call him a good man. I'd say just like I said it. Paul Ryan's leaving. We wish him all the blessings and good life that's possible. Damn. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Go next break. I think they cannot be. Okay, yeah. Oh no. You're right. No, when the Congress is in session, they cannot be arrested. That's true. Yeah, that's true. So. Yeah, that's an issue. But I don't think Trump would go after people in Congress first. I don't see it happening that way. I see it happening where he'll go after people like Clapper, Brennan, Hayden, Mudd, Comey, Mueller. At some point in time after he proves that Mueller is a crook, which can be done quite easily. So no, I don't think he'll go after the senators or the Congress people first, unless they're just stupid and get in the way. That'll be the cleanup area there in Congress, in my estimation. Okay, yeah, 5G is still a problem, very dangerous, especially with the deployment of nanotech and now I understand they may not even need the chips, the RFIDs, to control people. They've got this nanotech that they've been spraying. All these people that say, I'm going to use the term chemtrailing. I heard, I think it was Lionel Nation say, I'm not going to say chemtrailing because that turns people off. The real name of it, and Brennan even used it, was, as you heard me say, stratospheric aerosol injection. It's real. And it's very possible that they have sprayed it there. We know it's in our food. We know they've added it to our water supply and other places. And it might be that once that's in our systems, that the 5G can act on that wholesale. They don't even have to direct it to certain RFIDs. Who knows? They're so far ahead of us on that, and it's so demonic in its end purpose that, yes, it is a danger. And again, Trump stopped the Chinese from being involved in our 5G network here. But who controls China? Really? The deep state, the New World Order, and the IC. So I'm not certain that was enough for Trump to do to really stop this, but it was a step in the right direction. Yeah, we're wetware. Yeah, I can't see who said that yet, but wet bodies. Yeah, we're wetware. Absolutely. Let's run down here. Solar shield, yeah. There's another example. They came out and they said it. People that have been denying that this is happening. Harvard came out, it made the mainstream news that they're trying to deploy the solar shield like we need it. You know, plants need the sunlight, the photosynthesis. We need it for vitamin D production and our overall well-being. So they're not doing this to protect the earth from overheating. That's baloney. They're doing it. That's the cover story. You know, there's always the cover story. The global warming or climate change now, whatever they want to use. That's all the cover story for the real issue, which is control of the population and eventual culling or killing off most of us. That is the program. Absolutely. Remember, back about 5 or 6 or 10 videos ago, I put up a video and I titled it, "It's Easier to Kill a Million People Than to Control a Million People." And I didn't put the who actually said that. I left it off because I wanted to see how people would react to it. People were calling me a fearmonger. They had no idea where it came from. They thought that was my quote. So then about a video or two down, I finally said, well, now let me tell you the story now that I've kind of looked at this to see where people are. That was not from me. That was from Zbigniew Brzezinski from the New World Order, whose whole quote was basically, in the past it was easier to control a million people than to kill a million people, but today it's easier to kill a million people than to control a million people, and we will. Okay, that's exactly, when you paraphrase, those are exact quotes until the last part, we will. That's a paraphrase for the rest of the information that he put out there. And that is the end game. That's what they want to do. Now, it's interesting. Frank Baumgartner is saying 7 billion people on the planet is a lie. You know, I think you know, the elites have always exaggerated the population problem. They've always done that from ancient times because it's a method of control. It's a method of making you feel guilty for living. So this isn't a new tactic. A lot of people think that this is a new thing. Overpopulation is a current problem. This has been the claim of the elites from the very beginning. I'm glad, Mr. Baumgartner, that you brought that up. That's very, very true. If you study this thing out, it's been claimed throughout history. Is there a carrying capacity for the planet? Probably. But I don't want to see people murdered to get to that, or even nature to take care of it. I would like to see us, like Alex Jones often talks about, and others, Jordan Sather, for instance, that if in fact we can do this space travel, if that's possible, and there are some questions, even NASA said they still don't have the technology to get through the Van Allen belts. How did they do it in 69 and 70? Gee, Roy, what are you saying? Hey, I'm just quoting NASA, okay? So at any rate, but I hope that we can seed the universe, that we can finally raise our consciousness to a level where men and women will not have these evil impulses. Or that if they do, as Jordan Peterson says, you have a dark side, and I even made a big point of this in my book, The Crimson Thread, about the teachings of having this dark side. We all have it. And what we need to do is just recognize it, take responsibility for it, and when we do, we can then, because God hides behind that dark side, that dark cloud in us, and when we can get past it, take the responsibility for it, and then make sure that we don't use it for destructive purposes, then we can move behind it, and then we find God. That's a fact. That is a fact. And even Jordan Peterson talked about that. And he broke down crying when he talked about it, because he used, I got to tell you about this, because this was fascinating. If any of you watch Jordan Peterson, he's a great guy to watch. He's Christian, but he has a very, very broad understanding of all of everything, especially the human condition. And he talked about Jesus, and he said, you know, and this is, and it's true, you can look at this more as a metaphor than an actual occurrence, but it can be taken both ways. But that Jesus goes out in the desert, right? And he meets the devil out there. Well, who's the devil? It's the dark side of himself, because he's human. He's got that in him, okay? He took on human form. So he has that dark side impregnated in him. But what he was able to do is confront that devil, the dark side, admit that it's there, and then not choose it. You see how that works? In other words, like the Native Americans say, you've got an evil wolf and a good wolf. This is really breaking it down into easy terms. Good wolf and a bad wolf. What are you going to become? Well, it depends on what wolf you feed. So if you recognize that dark side in you, that it's there, then you tweak it. You understand that that's there, and you tweak it for constructive purposes. And that's what Jesus did when he took the sins of the world upon himself. Those evil things that he realized were in him because he took human form. Do you understand that? A lot of people say, "No, my God, he was God. He can't do that. He can't." Hey, look at the scriptures. You know, even God says, "I created evil." Right? Go find the scripture. Go look it up. He actually says that. I created evil. How could he create evil if he didn't have it in him? I mean, okay? Well, that's enough of that preaching for today. Go listen to Jordan Peterson. If you're having trouble in your life, you know, you can come listen to Roy Potter and Lionel and Alex Jones and all this crap, you know, that's going on in the world. But if you want to find out about yourself and about your relationships and about, you know, how to conduct yourself in different situations, and to just take the time to kind of self-meditate, go listen to Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's a doctor of psychology, and I think he has another thing too. Anyway, he's out of the University of Toronto. He's on YouTube, Jordan Peterson. You'll find him. It's just a good way to self-examine. It really is, and to explain why, you know, why this girl, for guys, why this girl over here doesn't respond to you. You know, it's really interesting, and you'll have a whole new understanding of people, and most importantly of yourself. He'll help you take that dark cloud, that darkness in you, and part that so that you can look behind it. You have to do it, but he can help you to find out how to open that up. And that's why I talk so much about the Spirit of Christ more important than the personality of Christ. So Jordan Peterson, he's considered probably one of the most intelligent men in the world right now. And I'd agree. He probably has extremely high IQ, and he's considered one of the most intelligent people in the world right now. And I totally agree with that. But it's interesting that he and I have both talked about this importance of understanding the principles and not so much the personalities, because we're really supposed to take the name of Christ upon ourselves, which in euphemistic terms from the past really means, when you say you take somebody's name, it means you become that person. Do you see that? And so part of becoming Jesus Christ is what? Confronting that devil, that Satan in the wilderness, in the desert. Opening up that darkness in you, being courageous enough to take responsibility for it, examine it, and then not choose the evil. It's a fantastic concept. And really, that's what the whole gospel in the Old Testament and the New Testament is about. Go listen to Jordan Peterson. I've said enough. Yeah, Stephen Molyneux is great too. I really like that. I thought somebody's saying here, HSHS, Dr. Peterson and Stephen Molyneux are both Christians, or both understand evolutionary psychology, are compatible. That's interesting. I didn't know that Stephen Molyneux was a Christian. I thought he was an agnostic or even an atheist. Wow, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I think that's neat. Okay, let's see here. Okay, hold on here. Somebody did ask a rather important question here. I got to go back and see what it is. Explain why you think this has tamed down. You haven't explained what happened other than people berated him. Is that it? Rack Attack Gamer. All you have to do is go on the mainstream media, on YouTube or on Google, and Google people just say Trump criticized for threatening war with Syria. So something like that. And I don't have to explain it to you. If you don't know, I'm really surprised. Yeah. What happened is that he made these claims about these false claims against Assad, threatened war with Syria and Russia, which would have decimated everything. It would have destroyed everything, or damn near. And people like myself basically said, whoa, 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 hold on here. You know, first of all, this has happened before. You know that the IC has been after you with false accusations. Why would you believe their false accusations against Assad and Russia? It was really the most cognitive way of approaching this idiocy by the president. I'll just say that. Okay, so enough of us called him out on it. Maybe you considered that I berated him. Well, I was angry, that's true. But with everybody else, most everybody else, they basically just called him out and said, hey, look, you can't do this because of this and this and this and this. So go look at it. I don't think we need to waste time here. I think most people are aware of that. It wasn't so much berating him. It was saying, why are you doing this when this has been proven to be a false flag staged event time and time again in the past? And at this point in time, Assad would have absolutely no reason to do this. And besides, even if he did, it's a sovereign country. What right do you have to go into that country without a declaration of war from Congress? Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah, John Liberty. Great. I'm going to read this to you. Dr. Jordan Peterson stood up to an authoritarian, thought-controlled government. He doesn't care about the gender pronoun issue. He just doesn't want a government telling him what he must say. Absolutely. 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 Although I would say that he's very much into the man-woman relationship, and that we stop this nonsense of this transgenderism and this identity politics. He's gender or otherwise, or the multiple genders, which is absurd. Biologically, it's even absurd. So I think he would say that. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I'm not going to get into the flat Earth thing. That's kind of why I didn't want to go to the Van Allen belt deal. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. And people say, "Aha, Roy, you're a flat earther." No. I'm saying I don't know. I see arguments on both sides. I've seen the laser studies over water for many miles, 50 miles or more. I've seen I know about the Aries phenomenon. I know about the just a lot of things. But some of those can still be explained in other ways. So I haven't made up my mind about that. But I will say publicly, I think that I do have some serious doubts about the moon landings in the 60s and early 70s. I have some real doubts about that. That's from a photographic study of the evidence. It's also from NASA's own statements that they lost the telemetry data. They lost the technology to go there now. What? They can't get through the Van Allen belts. They don't know how to do that. What? Did these people have, memory loss that they already claim they went there? I don't know. My position on all this, it's not that I don't think we could have gone to the moon or even to Mars by now, if those things are possible. It's that the government lies to us so much that anything they say has to be held in abeyance as far as believing it. We all need to be from Missouri. When the government speaks, we need to go prove it. Prove it. So that's more my position on that than anything else. I don't trust anything they say. Anything. Even President Trump. Like this last thing. When they do that, we call them out on it. And that's because they work for us. They're our employees. You cannot allow an employee to... If you own a retail business and an employee steals from you, do you call them out on it? Of course. That's no different. They are our employees. They are not our rulers. Leading, maybe. Sometimes I wonder about that. But they are technically our employees, and we need to call them out when they do something wrong, just like you would an employee at your business. No different. Fundamentally, no different. Okay. I hope you're finding this of some interest today. It's a little lighter than the other day. Well, we needed to relax a little bit, and we can't let up on this thing with Trump and Syria. We can't. We need to keep him from doing that. And we need to call out the IC and the deep state and the military-industrial complex, and even the warmongers like Bolton and McMaster. He's out, but he's working behind the scenes, as is McCain. We need to call these people out, and the neocons, Trotskyites, deep staters, SES, Serco, on and on and on. They're polluting our government and our institutions. I say our government, but it includes our school system, our municipalities, everything. Okay, Yeah, Pam Jones is bringing up adrenochrome and pedivores. There's some good people out there that are saying be cautious with this information, because there really isn't evidence of it yet. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, and don't misunderstand me, Pam, or anybody else. I totally see evidence of this widespread. I know it's been a problem in our societies and in our cultures for millennia. Okay, it's real. I know it's real, but they're very good at covering their tracks. We have a lot of people that are testifying about this stuff now that have gone through it. I was doing investigations in it in the 90s and even as late as about 6 years ago. I know for a fact that it exists, but I can't honestly say I've ever seen a pedivore type situation. We saw some of that possibly with some camera work here the other day from the Epstein Island, but it was really hard to tell. It was, again, kind of circumstantial based on the information. Do I believe that adrenochrome, in other words, frightening a poor child nearly to death to take out their blood that's now filled with adrenaline, and then to process it somehow and inject it into yourself, that could be dangerous if you don't have the right blood type, or drink it as a potion. Yeah, I have no doubt that that's happening, but we really need to get the proof, and Trump can do that. Craig Sawyer can do that, and I think they're working on it. You can, but this is the secret. Sorry about the background noise. This is the secret that they control with their very lives, literally. If somebody in their inner circle were to reveal this, they would kill them. It's that serious. So that's why people say, how do you keep a secret like that so long? Look, my father worked on the nuclear deal for the bombs for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He worked at the Tennessee plant. I think it's called Oak Ridge. I might be mistaken about that. But he was there. And there were thousands and thousands of people, and nobody ever made a peep. There are ways to get people to go along and be quiet. There are ways to threaten people to be quiet. Look at Trump. His family's been threatened. Have you heard him talk about it? No. We know about the engine failures. We know about the white powder, etc. What else has happened? But has Trump talked about it? No, because he knows if he does, he's in danger. Frankly, I think he should sing like a canary. But that's me. See, that's what I would do. I don't put up with that stuff. But I'm not in his shoes, but people can keep secrets. And so these pedophiles, these pedivores, they do exist. I have no doubt about it. The stories mirror what's really true. It's the old statement that TV, we don't mimic what's happening on TV. TV, movies, etc., entertainment is mimicking what's happening in the real world. That's absolutely true. So anyway, yeah, they exist, but we don't have the evidence, so at least I don't have it. Maybe somebody else does. I hope Craig Sawyer does. I hope President Trump does. If there was ever a reason to torture, maybe that's a good reason to find out from one of these people, what's really going on. Yeah, if they are employees, why are we not firing them? Exactly. Well, that's kind of what the election process is about. But that's why our republic, and you said this is obvious, Janice Lipset. I agree with you. I agree with you. They should be fired. But the mechanism for that, for us to do it, is kind of difficult unless we have referendums or things like that. But the other way is like this thing with Trump, insisting on him that he go after Clinton, after Podesta. We have to keep insisting on it. Look, buddy, you were hired to do this, do the job. How do we fire him? Well, even Ann Coulter, I know some of you probably don't like Ann. I've had my issues with her. But she's right. If he doesn't at least, and I realize he can't do everything at once, but when he does this thing like he did with Syria, he's not going to get reelected next time. He just won't. And that's a tragedy in more ways than one, as I'm sure most of you know. My friend says we need to keep the houses, both houses of Congress. It's absolutely necessary. But then again, if they're not going to do their job, why? if they're not going to do the things that we ask them to do? Why? So it might come down to where, you know, the one weakness in the Constitution that I see, the one weakness that I see is that there's no prescription for punishment for those who violate their oath of office to the Constitution. Now, the oath of office didn't actually show up until sometime after the Constitution was formed. I think it was like late 1800s. But despite that, there was never a provision, never a prescription in the Congress for punishment for those who violate the Constitution as congressmen, senators, executive officers, Supreme Court justices, federal judges, etc. There's no prescription or demand for that, and that is the one weakness in the Constitution. And they have really used that to their advantage, very, very much so. Now there are dangers in that, and I realize it. You know, where does political discourse go beyond the realm of debate and become seditious? That's a problem. But that is where the courts are. But we should have a prescription. If there was one change in the Constitution I would make, this would be it. That there be a prescription, a call, a statute, if you will. It wouldn't be a statute, but at any rate, a punishment for violating that constitutional provision, whatever, that they attack. For instance, these municipalities like Deerfield, Illinois, that is saying that it's unconstitutional, that they're going to take the weapons from the people, the semi-automatic weapons. Sessions should be in there right now with the DOJ saying, no, we're slapping you with a suit and we'll go after you criminally if you don't stop this violation of the Constitution. Well, that needs to be the case also for congressmen, senators, etc. DOJ people, anybody in government who doesn't fulfill their responsibility to protect and defend the rights of the American people, their God-given rights under the Constitution of the United States. That was a long explanation. Hopefully you can hear me with all the background noise. It was so warm this morning. We have a storm, and I wasn't really sure I was going to do this, like I said yesterday. But the storm came in, and it got really hot. It actually got up to like 70 degrees here yesterday, and it stayed pretty warm last night, and then it was warm today. And then with the lights that I use, that causes another problem. But I had to open the window, so I'm sorry. But it's raining right now, and it's supposed to get cold later today, drop down into the low 30s, and we're supposed to get snow. Sometimes I wish I could move to the Keys or Hawaii. Hawaii, I'd get island fever. But class action, Laura Rourke, do a class action. Yeah. But see, those things are so hard. The left is because they get funded by Soros, they get funded by the slush fund that Obama and Eric Holder, put together, which I know President Trump is now cut off. But the point is that the left has all of these horrible people like Soros and Obama and Rockefeller, et cetera, who will fund all these leftist things where they can do these suits, like the suits against Alex Jones right now, Alex Jones. So, you've got that kind of power behind the left. On the right, they're just like, we're only going to move if we have to. We're comfortable. It's not really bothering us yet. We can wait. No. That's one of our weaknesses. That is the weakness on the right. Our willingness to get out and do something about what we see is wrong. And the opposition knows that. They know that we aren't, and the scriptures even talk about it. Here we go again, right? Even the scriptures talk about it. It says that the children of light are not as wise as the children of the darkness. I think it actually says the children of darkness are wiser than the children of light. Yeah, that's really true, because normally people like us, we're not out there trying to figure out how to take advantage of somebody. That's not our mindset. Our mindset is to take care of our own business, right? Oh, we make mistakes once in a while. We step on somebody's toes or whatever, but that's not our mission. That's not our motivating thought. For the evil side, it is. And that's why that scripture says that. And it's a problem. Snowden's tweet. Did I see Snowden's tweet? Recently? No, I didn't. I didn't see it. I'll have to go back and look at it. Maybe you can bring it up here, or somebody can. Was there a warrant to raid the lawyer's office? Yes, there was. But all of that is there's some real problems with all of that. And Mike Cernovich did a really good explanation of why that warrant was probably valid. There's probably, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's probably something there with Trump's attorney Cohen. Whether it'll reach out to Trump, I doubt. But that's their hope. They're going to try to bend it to that. I'm not saying Cohen was backstabbing Trump or anything like that, or vice versa. These people that say that Trump set up Cohen because he was actually a patsy for somebody else, or that he was causing Trump some trouble over this, whether it's contributions or whether it's Stormy Daniels. A lot of people are saying that, well, Trump is getting revenge on Cohen. I don't believe that. Trump is not going to attack a longtime friend despite some of those things. They just don't rise to that level. Plus, Trump's not going to destroy the attorney-client privilege or set a precedent for it. He's just not going to do that. He's depended upon that his entire life. Why would he seek to destroy the attorney-client privilege now with a precedent like this? He wouldn't do that, especially the client-attorney privilege of the President of the United States. No, that's absurd. Anybody who's telling you that, they're so far out in left field that they're lost. I saw a message this morning from a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention any names, but he was talking about some of these people on Twitter who have all of these threads explaining all this intricate detail from, pulling stuff out, making things, sometimes methinkest thou protesteth too much. Actually, the actual quote is, methinkest the lady doth protest too much. They took out the lady part in most of the quotes. I guess it's sexist, but I'll say it. But at any rate, yeah, some of these people, they wrest. There's a scripture that says, don't, the people will wrest the scriptures to their own condemnation. Well, I got to tell you, some of these people that do these document analyses, and they've got a predetermined idea of what they want to say. I'm not saying that they're deep state plants. I'm not saying they're opposition research. I think some people they have a hope. And so just like going to a news company, like, you choose the news that you want to listen to most of the time because it verifies your prejudice, your bias, and you want to feed that. So that's really what the news people understand, and that's why it's so important that you have different concepts, that you take the energy, take the courage to go listen to somebody who doesn't agree with you. You really need to do that, or you end up like these people. And they so much want it to turn out, not that they're bad necessarily, but they want it so badly that it turns out the way they think it is, that's what they see when they do this research, and that's what they bring out and present to you as proof that their position is correct. And so this individual, this friend of mine, was saying, boy, this guy, he's got a problem. He's either stupid or he's controlled opposition. And I wrote back to him. I said, well, he is a problem. I've known about him for a long time, and some other people do. But the fact of the matter is he's probably in this category that I just explained. He wants it so much to be that way that's all he sees when he goes through and he does his research. Don't you hate it when people do that? I've said that before. But it is biased research. There's no question about it. And we all do it to some extent. So it's kind of to be expected, but it's like this thing with Cohen, Trump is getting revenge on him. No, Trump's not going to destroy the attorney-client privilege over something like this, and he's not going to go after a longtime friend under these circumstances. He's just not going to do it. And then the thing with Mueller being a friend, and I bought into that for a while. I thought, okay, that's a possibility. That's looking again to some other opinions about what's going on. And I examined that. But after I looked at it, actually, it was my friend, my insider Republican, who finally said, Roy, come on, get off of this. You know, this is the reason why this can't be. And I finally had to look at it from another perspective, and I had to agree. And what did I use to apply that? I had to set my hopes aside, what I wanted it to be, and I had to look at the evidence for what it was, and apply my military and my police and my security background and my dealings with people and all that. And I finally came out, and when I looked at it, I said, yeah, you're right. Mueller isn't on Trump's side, and there are big questions about whether Sessions is. And certainly Rosenstein isn't. So anyway, but when we do this research, we can get information and we present it to others that bolsters our bias and our prejudice. Whether we do it consciously or unconsciously, that's a question. Whether we do it because we're controlled opposition, well, you know, probably not in most circumstances. I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm not saying that they're not disinfo. I'm not saying that. I'm just not in a position to judge it at this point. Bobby Lynn Lawson, did you block me? It doesn't look familiar to me. I don't think you're on here. I don't block many people. Usually, people that disagree with me, I don't block them. It's people that resort to name calling in response to an explanation of somebody's political, religious, etc. Explanations or their position, like on this thing with Trump. You know, with me saying, you know, Trump, you did a mistake here, and then somebody calls me a traitor because I don't support Trump. No. That I won't put up with. That I won't. That's intellectual hypocrisy. Okay, so and I'll put up with that kind of attack for a while, but after a while, I'll get tired of it and I'll get rid of it. Now, if you or I do something stupid and I call you a lame brain or whatever, that's kind of light. And you call and you know, so we're not attacking our characters or our personalities or our positions. In other words, we're not trying to argue a position by name calling. You see the difference? If you're trying to argue your position by resorting to name calling, I'm going to block you. But if you can articulate your position, I'll admit that you could be, you know, I might not agree with you, but I'm not going to block you for it. You see that? That would be intellectually dishonest on my part. So you see the difference? I hope so. Okay, how long have we been going? Oh my gosh, we're in over an hour. Okay, we're going to call it quits. Yeah, I'm in a better mood today, but I got to admit, I'm watching this thing in Syria very closely. Trump better not be trying to pull a fast one, and we need to keep on top of him. President Trump, stay out of Syria. Just like you told President Obama, stay out of Syria. We're telling you, stay out of Syria. Stop using false accusations that you've been a victim of, that kind of an activity. Stop using false accusations to get into Syria and against President Assad. Do I like Assad necessarily? That's not even the issue. The issue is that people don't like you, President Trump. There are some people around the world that don't like you. Does that mean that they should interfere in our internal affairs? No. So likewise, you don't interfere into Syria's affairs. And unfortunately, the United States has done that, which is why Syria is in the mess that it's in today. And they've done it for the deep state, for the New World Order, for the Rothschilds, for Israel and Saudi Arabia. Bottom line. And that's unacceptable. Stay out of Syria, President Trump. Leave them alone. Get out of there just like you said you were going to. Lionel Nation yesterday, he said, he was reading some quotes from Putin about all of this. And he said, he's wringing his hands and he's rubbing his eyes. And, you know, and he's saying, who was the adult in this thing? In this whole, this banter back and forth between Trump and Putin. Who was the adult? And Lionel said it right. He said it's Putin. And that's exactly true. Trump, grow up. Trump, put your ego, use it to drive yourself, but stop using it to show off. Let's be a president, okay? God bless all of you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. Hopefully it's not going to falter. It will if Trump doesn't go after and collar these clear and present danger enemies. He must do that today before he goes after anything internationally. I'll say it again and again. Prep, pray, stay out of the way, and God bless Donald Trump and all his righteous endeavors. And may he have God's Spirit that is trying to tell him, pray that he recognizes the Spirit of God is trying to tell him how to have the spirit of discernment and to do the right thing in the face of all opposition, even threats. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll see you again next time. All right? Out here.